This is going to be a quick video. The reason why I've been talking about what black swans are is because it is very important to not only understand what a black swan event is, but also understanding how the rapture ties into what I believe is one of the largest black swan events to hit mankind. Now, some people think it's kind of a paradox to be including the rapture inside of a black swan event. But again, if you're talking about an instance, for example, of Pearl Harbor, the Americans at Pearl Harbor did not know, allegedly, that they were going to be attacked. Now, you can infer on the other side, based on all the data that you collect, that they knew that there was an attack, that an attack on Pearl Harbor was imminent. That's irrelevant because we're talking about what happened before that led to that, and they were basically asleep, if you will. They didn't know. So, same thing with 9/11. You could pose a hypothesis, again, based on all the data points and say, oh yeah, it was so obvious that 9/11 was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And pretty much, I think it was probably the only person that predicted 9/11 would be Alex Jones. And even then, it was like almost from the perspective of, I'm surprised that somebody doesn't grab a plane and smash it into one of the buildings in New York. Something like that. I think he was talking about that. I don't know if it was on Joe Rogan or not. But basically, everybody else was asleep, basically, when that happened. And again, you can pose an argument and say, oh yeah, here's all the empirical data that says that this was inevitable, this was going to happen. But we're doing it on the hindsight of history. We're looking backwards in time and going, yeah, we should have saw this. We should have saw Pearl Harbor and all this kind of stuff. But that's actually the third criteria of a black swan event. The first one is it's highly unpredictable. It's improbable. It's possible, but it's improbable. Like, it's so remote that you would never guess that it would happen here or there or wherever. The second thing is it has to be highly impactful. 9/11 changed the airline industry forever, and also it changed how we traveled as well and all that kind of stuff. Like, basically, the markets changed almost overnight as well. So the stock market fell, I forget how many thousands of points the next day, because people were thinking that 9/11 was going to be 9/12, 9/13, 9/14, 9/15, etc. Again, that's what happens after a black swan event happens. You think you're going to repeat that same thing, even though it was highly improbable, like probably in the 1 to 2 percentile. So again, the idea behind a black swan event is people think it's going to happen again and again. So to tie that in with the rapture, why it fits the criteria is just because some people know that there is a rapture coming doesn't disqualify the rapture from being a black swan event. Because again, the people in the know with Japan, specifically the Navy, they knew they were going to attack Pearl Harbor. The terrorists knew they were going to attack New York, Washington, and other areas. They knew that. So a black swan event doesn't mean that some people do not know. So again, Christians, I would say most Christians know that there's a rapture. There's just a debate now. Is it pre, mid, post, a hybrid of post-trib / pre-wrath? What is it, kind of thing? But everybody agrees that there is a rapture coming. I approach it from the perspective of a pre-tribulation rapture because it seems to make the most sense logically that if you want to interrupt the whole ecosystem, if you will, of the planet, is you remove the body of Christ, you remove the church from the earth and you put everyone in heaven that believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And then now, it's very similar to the parable of the wheat and the tares. A lot of people think the tares were removed to be burned. Not so. They were bundled so that they couldn't move. And then the wheat was harvested and removed into the barn. And then the reapers came back and burned, torched all the bundles. All the bundles. So the same thing happens with the rapture, is you remove us, now you can actually commence Jacob's trouble, which is also the coincidental unleashing of the Antichrist to start the 7-year tribulation. Days of vengeance, Jacob's trouble, Daniel's 70th week, because you got to close that chapter as well. And it seems logical that the idea that after a rapture, people are going to be thinking, especially if you spin it and say it was some kind of an alien abduction, some kind of a virus went out, whatever it is, people are going to be thinking negatively that they are going to get abducted the next day, just like 9/11. People thought more planes are going to crash into more buildings the next day, even though the chances, because the U.S. was on the highest alert that it had ever been since World War II, that would never happen again like that, because it's the security is too high, especially the next day. There's no way. So again, logically, the next day after the rapture, people are going to be wanting answers. And if they go to the media outlets, CNN, Fox News, all this stuff, they're all going to be harping the same thing, because the Antichrist will probably orchestrate something, some kind of an explanation as to why people were abducted or why they disappeared, whatever it is. And people will buy into it left, right, and center, especially if it means getting food, more food, especially if it means job security, getting more homes, just being looked after. So I think one of the easiest ways to do that would be to tell people to stay home until you solve that problem. And then perhaps you just put out an alert, say that more abductions are coming, whatever it is, cause a little bit of fear and panic, and people will stay home. And then if the government is saying, we will pay you, we will dump money into your bank account for you to stay home, and we promise or guarantee that your jobs will be stable, most people will not argue with that. And especially if you tell them not to venture out because we don't know what's going on. This could be some kind of a terrorist thing, who knows what. So this is why, again, I believe the rapture it actually represents one of the greatest black swan events to hit. We see it in the Bible. We see that it's coming, that it's inevitable, that Jacob's trouble is coming. We just don't know when. This is why we believe in the imminency of Jesus Christ's return. He can come today. He can come tomorrow. He can come a week from now, 10 years from now. Although it's questionable, right? Like we're thinking, man, it feels like when you look around us that it could be any time. But we prepare our hearts every day as though we could get raptured today, tomorrow. And don't forget, at the end of the day, we're not promised tomorrow. I'm not promised to be here tomorrow. You're not promised to be here tomorrow. So we have to live every day as though this is our last day here on earth. Because remember, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully this makes sense as why I am talking about black swan events and tying it in with the rapture and all this kind of stuff. If you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a thumbs up, because that lets YouTube know that you're interested in this topic. And also, don't forget to join us on Uptime Community Church on February 6th. I will be a guest on their channel, and it's I believe it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe is when it starts. So go to their channel, click on the notification bell, subscribe to their channel so that you can be notified when we go live on Tuesday. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.